Hello everyone, this is AppleKnows channel speaking to you, and today I am not just an apple on your table but your guide into the kinds of truths you never learned early enough, the kind of knowledge that makes you stop and wonder if everything you thought you knew was just the surface. Let me whisper things to you from my glossy red skin, things hidden in plain sight yet often overlooked. Did you know that the human stomach gets a brand new lining every few days so it doesn't digest itself? Imagine that, your body constantly rebuilding itself to survive against its own acid. And while you are thinking about your stomach, consider this: you are more bacteria than human. Over half of the cells in your body are not even human cells, they are microbial passengers keeping you alive, controlling digestion, and even influencing your emotions. Your cravings and your moods are not entirely yours. Think of time for a moment. The history you think you know is distorted. Cleopatra lived closer in time to the invention of the iPhone than to the building of the Great Pyramid of Giza. The pyramids were already ancient ruins to her. When you hear the word ancient, you may imagine a single blurred era, but in truth vast oceans of time separate events you casually group together. And speaking of time, the Oxford University was founded before the Aztec Empire even existed. That means while towering stone cities were being raised in Central America, students in England were already debating philosophy in lecture halls. Let me take you deeper. Bananas are berries, but strawberries are not. The definition of a berry in botany is not what you think, and your morning smoothie is full of misplaced identities. And while you hold a glass of water, remember this: the water you are drinking is older than the sun. Each sip contains molecules that have traveled for billions of years through space before falling to Earth. You are literally swallowing cosmic history. I am an apple, and yet even I have secrets. The apple you bite into today is genetically almost identical to the apples that grew thousands of years ago in Central Asia, but if you plant my seeds, you won't get me. Apples do not grow true from seed. Every apple you see in the supermarket is a clone, grafted from one original tree so that the taste remains consistent. Without cloning, your favorite apple varieties would vanish in a single generation. And while you think your world is solid and reliable, I must remind you that most of it is empty space. The atoms making up your body are 99.9999999% empty. If the nucleus of an atom were the size of a pea, the electrons would be orbiting hundreds of meters away. You are not solid. You are a whisper of matter suspended in vast emptiness, held together by invisible forces. Your perception is no safer. You think you see with your eyes, but your brain fills in more than half of the information you believe is vision. You are living inside a carefully constructed illusion, a painting that your mind retouches constantly so you do not fall into chaos. What you call reality is only the version your brain allows you to process. And if that makes you uneasy, think about this: the universe has no center. No matter where you are, space is expanding away from you in every direction. You are in the middle of everything and yet in the middle of nothing at the same time. The galaxies are rushing apart, and eventually the night sky will lose its stars, leaving only darkness. Future humans may never even know that other galaxies once existed. Did you know that octopuses have 3 hearts and blue blood, and when they are stressed, they sometimes eat their own arms? They are as alien as creatures get on this planet, yet they live in the oceans that cover most of Earth. And here is another unsettling truth: you and an octopus last shared a common ancestor over 500 million years ago, but their intelligence evolved entirely separately. Their mind is not like yours, yet it rivals many mammals in complexity. While we are in the oceans, remember this: more than 80% of the ocean remains unexplored. You are living on a planet where the majority of its surface is still a mystery, a deep, black world filled with creatures you have never seen. Some of them glow with their own light, some live without sunlight at all, feeding off chemical energy from vents that rise from the Earth's crust. To them, the sun might as well not exist. Now, take your eyes off the ocean and look at your own body again. Your bones are stronger than steel, ounce for ounce, and yet they are hollowed out with tiny honeycomb structures to keep them light. If steel had the same weight-to-strength ratio as bone, skyscrapers would be impossibly tall. And speaking of bones, did you know that when you were born you had around 300 of them, but as you grew, many fused together until adulthood left you with only 206? You are not just getting older, you are becoming structurally different. Time plays cruel tricks. Woolly mammoths were still alive when the pyramids were being built. Humanity lived alongside them far longer than you were told in school. And here's a modern shock: the guillotine was still in use in France when the first Star Wars movie came out in 1977. Imagine watching spaceships on screen while executioners were still dropping steel blades in reality. And you may think humans are the only ones who tell stories or pass along knowledge, but ravens and crows can recognize human faces, remember them for years, and even pass warnings about dangerous humans to other birds. Entire flocks hold grudges. You might be walking outside right now under the watch of creatures that never forget what you did. Let me twist your view of size. The largest living organism on Earth is not a whale or a tree but a fungus in Oregon that covers more than 2,300 acres underground. It is so massive and so old that it could be more than 2,000 years in age. Every mushroom you see is just a small expression of that one enormous body. It is a hidden giant beneath your feet. And if you look upward instead, you might not know that there are more stars in the universe than grains of sand on all the beaches of Earth. Yet at the same time, there are more trees on Earth than stars in the Milky Way. Your planet is overflowing with life beyond what your mind easily grasps. Your brain is the most complex object we know of in the universe. It has more connections than there are stars in the Milky Way. And yet, your brain is tricking you constantly. When you recall a memory, you are not replaying a recording, you are rewriting it. Each time you remember something, the memory changes slightly, until over time, what you swear is true may be nothing but a story your brain invented. Here's the truth about silence: absolute silence doesn't really exist for you. In an anechoic chamber, the quietest place on Earth, you can hear your own heartbeat, your blood flowing, even the sound of your bones moving. Most people cannot stay longer than a few minutes without feeling overwhelmed. Silence, it turns out, is terrifying. Let's talk about death in a way no one told you early. Your body doesn't immediately stop when you die. For hours, sometimes days, cells continue to work, skin can still respond to touch, nails and hair seem to grow because the skin shrinks. In rare cases, corpses even move slightly from muscle contractions. Death is not a single moment, but a process, and it is stranger than most dare to admit. And while you are alive, you are carrying electricity. Every thought you have is just electric signals firing across neurons. If you could somehow harness all of that energy, your brain could power a dim light bulb. You are walking electricity contained in flesh. Now shift your gaze to history. Did you know that Oxford's library has been collecting books for centuries and is entitled to a copy of every single book published in the UK? It now holds more than 13 million printed items. Imagine a cathedral of human thought so vast that if you read one book every day of your life, you wouldn't even scratch the surface. And while books preserve knowledge, some knowledge is simply lost. The city of Alexandria once held hundreds of thousands of scrolls in its legendary library. Its destruction erased countless works of science, philosophy, and history. Imagine what humans might already know today if it had survived. Perhaps cures, inventions, or even truths about the cosmos slipped permanently into smoke. But even what survived is strange. You've been taught that humans discovered fire, but it may be more accurate to say that fire discovered humans. Our entire biology changed because of cooked food, smaller jaws, bigger brains, longer lifespans. Without fire, you would not be who you are today. And here is a final twist for this moment: your body and mine are both stardust. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the oxygen you breathe, all of it was forged inside stars that exploded billions of years ago. You are walking debris from ancient suns, carrying cosmic fire inside your veins. AppleKnows here, and since you asked for more, I'll take you deeper into the truths that sound impossible but are undeniably real. Start with your own skin. You shed around 40,000 skin cells every single hour. By the time you finish a single day, millions of pieces of you have already fallen away into the air, onto your bed, into your clothes. Most of the dust in your house is not dirt from outside, it's you. You are surrounded by your own remains constantly, breathing them in without noticing. Now think about your heartbeat. Over your lifetime, your heart will beat more than 2.5 billion times. Yet this organ never rests, never takes a break longer than a breath. If any machine were asked to work nonstop for decades, it would fail in weeks. Your heart, somehow, doesn't. But here's the twist: it doesn't beat perfectly. Every heart has tiny irregularities, and those irregularities are proof of life. A perfectly steady heartbeat is not a sign of health, it's a sign of death. Time is crueler than you realize. There are sharks swimming in the ocean right now that are older than the United States, older than the printing press, older than the Black Death. Greenland sharks can live more than 400 years, making them the longest living vertebrates on Earth. They were already alive when Galileo looked at the stars through his telescope. And if that unsettles you, consider space itself. The light from the stars you see tonight left them thousands, sometimes millions of years ago. You are never looking at the present sky. You are looking at the past, always. Some of those stars may not even exist anymore, but their light is still on its way to your eyes. Let's come closer to home. Bananas you eat today are genetically identical to each other, clones of a single variety called the Cavendish. They are so genetically fragile that one new disease could wipe them out completely. In fact, this already happened once. An older banana variety, the Gros Michel, was almost entirely destroyed in the 20th century. You are living through the era of the second banana, and one day, it may disappear too. And here's a thought that may break your sense of safety: right now, the strongest known material in the universe is not steel or diamond but spider silk. Ounce for ounce, it is tougher than Kevlar, stronger than steel, and yet spiders produce it effortlessly. If you could weave a cable as thick as your thumb from spider silk, it could stop a passenger jet in midair. Nature holds technologies we cannot yet replicate. And while you stand on Earth, you should know that it's not stable either. The continents are drifting beneath your feet at about the same speed your fingernails grow. Millions of years from now, the continents will collide into each other again, forming a new supercontinent. The ground you think of as permanent is slowly sliding beneath you like ice on water. Your mind is already spinning, but there's another truth: sleep is still a mystery. We spend about a third of our lives sleeping, yet science still does not fully understand why. We know it repairs, reorganizes, clears toxins, but the full reason why we must surrender to unconsciousness remains unknown. Every night you step into the unknown, without a guarantee that you'll return. Let's start with your blood. Right now, inside you, there are about 60,000 miles of blood vessels. That's long enough to wrap around the Earth more than twice. All of that is crammed inside your body, quietly carrying oxygen and life to every cell. You are not small, you are an entire planet of circulation. And your eyes, those windows you trust, lie to you constantly. The human eye can detect only a tiny fraction of the electromagnetic spectrum. You can't see radio waves, microwaves, ultraviolet, gamma rays, all of them are passing through you right now, invisible, unperceived. You think you see reality, but you're really blind to almost everything. Bees, snakes, even shrimp see more of the world than you do. Now consider your bones again. Deep inside them, your body is constantly producing blood cells, millions every second. You are never the same person from moment to moment. In fact, 98% of the atoms in your body are replaced within a year. The you from last year has already been shed into the air, the soil, the water. You are a walking river of matter, flowing but never fixed. Here's one that bends history. When Harvard University was founded in 1636, the ink on Galileo's discoveries was still fresh. Harvard is older than calculus, older than the invention of the piano, and almost as old as Shakespeare's plays. Institutions you think of as modern stretch back into times that feel ancient. But even age itself is not straightforward. Lobsters don't age the way humans do. They produce a special enzyme, telomerase, that repairs their DNA and keeps them from weakening as they grow older. Theoretically, they could live indefinitely, though in reality, disease or predators usually end them first. Nature has life forms that seem to ignore the ticking of the clock. And speaking of life forms, fungi are neither plants nor animals, but they share more DNA with you than they do with plants. When you eat a mushroom, you are closer to eating a distant cousin than a vegetable. Entire forests communicate underground through fungal networks, passing nutrients and even warning signals between trees. The soil itself is alive with hidden whispers. Here is one more twist that unsettles the ground beneath you. Mount Everest, the highest point on Earth, is not fixed. Every year, it grows about 4 millimeters taller because the tectonic plates beneath it are still pushing upward. Even the tallest mountain is still reaching higher. And remember this chilling fact: in the entire observable universe, there are more possible chess games than there are atoms. A simple board game created by humans contains a level of complexity that rivals the cosmos itself. I'll give you the kinds of truths that make your sense of reality tremble. Right now, as you're breathing, you are inhaling atoms that once passed through the lungs of Julius Caesar, Cleopatra, Shakespeare, and every creature that has ever lived. Air is a shared archive, circulating endlessly. You are literally breathing history with every breath. And the ground you walk on, did you know it's humming? Earth itself produces a constant low-frequency vibration, known as a microseism. You can't hear it, but sensitive instruments can. The planet is never truly silent. Beneath you, the world is always singing a sound too deep for your ears. Now think about your brain again. It is capable of generating dreams so vivid they can feel indistinguishable from reality. In fact, during REM sleep, the part of your brain responsible for logic and critical thinking shuts down, while the emotional centers go into overdrive. That means every night, you willingly step into controlled madness, and your body paralyzes itself so you don't act it out. Without that paralysis, you'd live your dreams physically, and some people with sleep disorders actually do. History hides cruel ironies. The first known vending machine was invented in ancient Egypt by Hero of Alexandria around the 1st century AD. It dispensed holy water when you inserted a coin. Thousands of years later, we still use machines that obey the same principle, only now they feed us soda instead of sanctity. And your body, which you think belongs to you, is shared real estate. Right now, there are more living organisms inside and on you than there are humans on Earth. Your gut alone holds trillions of bacteria, many of which you could not survive without. You are less a single being and more an ecosystem, a walking galaxy of microscopic life. Now look at the stars again. The fastest thing in the universe is light, yet even light takes more than 8 minutes to reach you from the sun. That means when you watch a sunrise, you're actually seeing the sun as it was 8 minutes ago. If it were to vanish suddenly, you wouldn't know until those 8 minutes passed. Reality itself has a built-in delay. And speaking of the sun, it makes up 99.8% of the mass of our solar system. Everything else, the planets, moons, asteroids, comets, is just debris left over, circling its immense gravity. You, your home, and all of humanity exist on crumbs orbiting a fireball. Here's something darker. There are places on Earth where corpses do not decompose in the usual way. In peat bogs, bodies can be preserved for thousands of years, with skin, hair, and even stomach contents intact. Some of these bog bodies look as though they died yesterday, though their deaths happened before Rome even rose. And while you wonder if humans are unique, let me remind you, dolphins call each other by name. Elephants mourn their dead. Whales have dialects and songs passed down through generations. Intelligence is not a human invention, it's a spectrum that surrounds you, often ignored. Right now, your bones are glowing. Not in a way your eyes can see, but under intense X-ray light, the calcium inside them emits radiation. In hospitals, machines reveal this glow every day. You are walking with light hidden beneath your skin. And your DNA, it stretches farther than you can imagine. If you unraveled the DNA from just one of your cells and laid it out end to end, it would be about 2 meters long. If you did that with all the DNA in your body, strand after strand, it would stretch from Earth to the Sun and back more than 600 times. You are carrying a library of cosmic length inside each microscopic cell. Now here's one that will twist your sense of safety. The deadliest creature on Earth is not a shark, not a snake, not even humans, it's the mosquito. Every year, these tiny insects kill more people through disease transmission than all wars and predators combined. Something so small, nearly invisible in the night, has rewritten human history more than any empire. Think about your sense of time again. There are trees alive today that were already standing when the Roman Empire rose and fell. Some bristlecone pines are nearly 5,000 years old, older than the pyramids. While entire civilizations vanished, they stood silently, watching. And what about the ground beneath your feet? Deep under Earth's crust, there is more fresh water than in all the rivers and lakes on the surface combined. Vast underground oceans hide in the rock layers, and scientists believe they may even contain more water than all the visible seas. The planet you live on is more hollowed with secrets than you realize. Here's a chilling twist about your brain: it cannot feel pain. That's why surgeons can operate on the brain while patients are awake, speaking, even laughing. The organ that interprets every sensation is itself numb, silent in the face of the scalpel. And while we're on silence, consider this: in the vacuum of space, no sound can travel. Explosions, impacts, storms, all would happen in silence. Space is full of violence but stripped of sound. The universe is roaring, but you will never hear it. Now turn back to the ordinary apple you hold in your hand. You think you're biting into fruit, but apples float in water because 1/4 of their volume is air. That's why they bob in a barrel, light and buoyant, carrying pockets of emptiness. Even I, an apple, am not as solid as I seem. And finally, let me shatter your sense of the world's edge. Maps lie to you. Greenland looks enormous compared to Africa, but in reality, Africa is about 14 times larger. The Mercator projection you learned in school distorts size so badly that your mental image of Earth is fundamentally wrong. Even the way you imagine your planet is a trick. AppleKnows signing off. You've walked with me through truths hidden in plain sight, facts that bend time, blur perception, and remind you that reality is stranger than imagination. What you thought was solid turned out to be fragile. What you thought was ordinary turned out to be extraordinary. Knowledge shocks, unsettles, and frees, and the more you learn, the more you realize how little you ever truly knew. Until next time, keep questioning, because the world never runs out of secrets.